Welcome back to the Kian and Prez show podcast YouTube thing. Anyway, I want to take a moment to thank you all as we've hit 50 subscribers. The big 5-0. It's a momentous occasion, and due to this occasion, tomorrow, when the draft happens, tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, I believe it's 5 o'clock, Pacific Standard Time.
Maybe. Is it 4?
Let's look it up real quick. NFL draft start time 2025. Yeah, 5 o'clock.
Okay. Good job.
5 o'clock, we will be live. A live video. We're going to watch the draft tomorrow. We're going to be. So if you're tired of analysis from boring people talking about where a kid's from and stories, you can hear us talk goofy analysis. Actually, we'll give you the best analysis we can, while maybe being slightly goofy. But anyways, we'll have a good time, and please tune in tomorrow at 5. But today, we are going to do our mock draft 2.0, the last mock draft we can do right before the draft happens tomorrow. We're going to run through this. Last time, Kian got the first pick. To switch it up, I get the first pick, and we'll switch every other. And so here we go. Let's get started. And of course, I get the easiest pick in the draft. It's the most boring pick because it's been prophesized for weeks. It's been talked about, and it's the worst kept secret right now, and that is Cam Ward. I don't see anybody coming up and trading with the Titans. I think this is where they're going. So Cam Ward, overall number 1, going to the Tennessee Titans. Let's move on.
Okay. This is first pick. This is the first actual pick. I guess. I think like earlier in the draft season, this was more projected to be Abdul Carter because everyone thought it would be great to have like just a prospect that has all of the edge rusher traits that you would want to go with Myles Garrett.
I still think it's a good idea.
I think I would be very happy for Browns fans that if either of them went to them, but more recently it's been Travis Hunter, and I think they could use both of the players. But Travis Hunter, his just ability to contribute as a wide receiver and corner, and uses his skills in space to find the ball, to locate it, and to know where to be. He's just an extremely talented player, and I think he would mostly contribute on offense. But they could, put him in at corner at some times if they want to, and I think that's versatility that they would need. And I think it would be a big help for their team. I think both of these picks would be very good, and I really don't know which one it will be, but I'm just going to go with the popular pick of Travis Hunter.
Now here's the New York Giants. The Giants have done poorly, drafting. Let's just say that. They had a chance at Micah Parsons before he fell to the Cowboys in 2021.
Deontay Banks is not good.
Do they want to make the same mistake twice? I don't think so. They've had meetings with Abdul Carter. I know that there are some issues with his dad and maybe some personal things with him. But if you look back at what he did his senior year at Penn State, they had him all over the field. He was very, moved all around. Was just a dynamic player. I'm hoping the Giants don't mess this up. And by mess it up, either trade out for not a good haul, pick Shedeur Sanders or some other quarterback that is way overpicked at this spot, or do something crazy and not take Abdul Carter and take Ashton Genty when they had Saquon in their house and they could still have him if they were running their organization the right way. it would be crazy. But for today's mock, I'm going to have them do the smart thing, the right thing, and that's take Abdul Kader.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pick. He's just the best player available. And there's nothing wrong with a great edge rotation. The Patriots is another. This is a spot where, the thing is, I mean, again, earlier in the season we saw Tetairoa McMillan, but now it's more turned into Ashton Jeanty being the skill player,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is possible. He's just, just incredible, and I don't think he needs the best offensive line to succeed, but I think they should get an offensive line for whatever running back
Mm-hmm.
will get the bulk of the carries. So then it's down to Will Campbell and Armand Mendo, I think. The top two tackles on the board, they're both very good. They both have shown, a little bit of waverment. Will Campbell has more experience, but Membo has less concerns. But I'm just gonna go with Will Campbell here, just to slot in at left tackle immediately. I think it could be Membo. I think once again they're both great players, and I think they'll both be great for their offensive line, and then they can continue to build up their offense and defense later down the board.
All right. Here's our first wild card team. By that I mean Jaguars could do anything. They could trade out. They could make some kind of deal. They could go Jeanty here, which you're like, well, they have ETN. They have running backs. Why do that? Well, they have a new head coach. They have a new GM. They need to make a splash. They've had the past few seasons just end in disaster. I think what they should do is go offensive line. They traded away Ken Robinson. They don't really have a standout left tackle. They need to protect Trevor Lawrence. You're paying him a lot of money to be your leader going forward. And if you look at what Liam Cohen did for Tampa Bay, they had a great offensive line. We were able to protect Baker, but they also had a lot of weapons. So that's why I'm curious as to what the Jaguars do. But I'm going to go the Jaguars are going to do something crazy. I think they're going to make a splash, and I think they're going to make the first pick. Because if you think about this first round, and you think about blue chip prospects, there's basically three. It's Travis Hunter, Abdul Kader, and then Ashton Jeanty. And it's just a matter of, do you think you're getting the value of taking a running back here? I don't think you are, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Which is going to make the Raiders very
it's
angry.
Top 10 is not. Yeah. What I usually have done with the Raiders, in my mind, is just go with Ashton Jeanty.
He gone.
Here,
I just took him. He gone.
Here, I usually prefer Tetairoa McMillan, and
Yeah.
They
don't have. What are the receivers? Tell me what the receivers are.
I think Genty's a much better prospect.
But he's not there anymore.
But he's not here in this situation, so they'd have to pivot. They could go with something on the offensive line or defensive line. They could go with a cornerback. They really have a lot of needs. But I will just go with the skill position of Tetairoa McMillan. Although I think there are other wide receivers that could go here. McMillan is just, the big, high potential X that can get great yak and just will be difficult to play against.
Mm-hmm.
So that is who I will go with.
All right. Now the Jets, again, new head coach, and Aaron Glenn, and you wonder about how much he was influenced about his time in Detroit and how Detroit built their team. What did Detroit build their team? They built their team through offensive line. Great offensive line. The Jets already have a good defensive line. Could use a little pass rush, don't get me wrong, but their defense isn't without talent. Their offense is the issue, right? They don't really have a quarterback. They could go quarterback here. I don't think they will. I think Aaron Glenn is going to try to build it the old-fashioned way and take his time. And I think the position they're going to go for here is tackle. And I think this is a great spot for Membu. And I think if the Jets make this pick, one, it'll be surprising because it's the Jets and they usually fumble this kind of situation. But they do still have a lot of young talent on the roster, and I think this is them trying to turn the age around. You know, they signed some old veterans to offensive line because they were trying to capitalize on the Aaron Rodgers thing. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Let's move on. Let's start building young talent, and that's a good way to start with drafting Armand Membu.
Yep, now you got a good pair of tackles, hopefully, for the future.
Yep.
And the Panthers. Oh, yeah, again, just something on the defense. I believe in the last month we did have, you did go with Tyler Warren, which is certainly an interesting pick. He could go 7 or 8, or 9, or 13.
Just a good blocking tight end, strong, big target for an undersized quarterback that, you know, likes to move outside the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good fit. It's a good fit.
I think there are great edge rushers on the board.
Tons of them.
Yeah, a lot. And I don't know which direction they'll go. Seems like the most common and I think probably the best is Jalen Walker. But with a little bit, with you know a little bit of a fall, you know some teams not taking him. I'm just gonna go with Mason Graham, and
Carry him with Derek Brown. Ooh.
Yeah, him and Derek Brown
Ooh.
up the middle. It's gonna be difficult to run against them. And the Panthers, I still think they need like another year or two before they can fully get both of the sides of the ball to where they want. But I think you can't really go wrong here. So just best defensive player.
All right, the Saints. Now, there's been a lot of reports about Derek Carr and his injury status and what that means for the Saints going forward. You obviously have the new head coach, and Kellen Moore. Does that mean, well, we need to bring the quarterback of the future? Let's draft. There's been a lot of speculation. This is where Shedeur Sanders is going to go, maybe Jackson Dart. I'm going to lean on the fact that they didn't pick up the fifth-year option of Trevor Penning. This happened today. They decided not to pick up on him. He's kind of been a bust. Fuaga, right? It was Fuaga? Fuanga. They drafted last year, played pretty well, but still, they need a lot of young talent on the offensive line and defensive line. Now, you could go past Richard Cam Jordan's towards the twilight of his career. I think you need a lot of youth on the defensive side there. The old, Cam Jordan's old, Demario Douglas is old, Tyrann Mathieu is old. They're just an old defense, and they need some youth. So I think they're going to go pass rusher here. I think there's just been smoke and mirrors. You could go offensive line if Membu falls to them. I think they take him. If Campbell falls to them, I don't think Campbell or Membu will fall to them. But if they did, I think they would take that. Or they may trade back. I think they need picks and they need to rebuild. They need a lot of youth on this team. I think they're a good candidate for that. But I think what they're going to do is take an edge rusher, and they need someone. So I'm going to give them Mike Green and a Marshall.
Okay. Yeah, he's very, very good. I think he led the FBS in sacks, a lot of pass rush skills. Bears. Yeah.
Bears are disappointed.
Yeah, here's also the Tyler Warren spot.
Ooh. But they have Cole Kmet.
Well, 12 personnel.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
it's
they do like to run. Ben Johnson does like to run big sets. So.
Yeah, but then if you think about it, 12 personnel, that starts with a 1. DeAndre Swift all the way back there could go with Omarion Hampton. Or you could go with the defensive line. Yeah, so this is a tricky pick. But I think I'm just gonna go with pure athleticism, and I'm going to take a guy who did not get that many sacks, but got a lot of pressures, and is also good against the run. And I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart.
Wow, a 10. Wow.
He's very athletic.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And I think he's. This is a good spot. He can start in rotation edge 2. They could maybe bulk him back up. Maybe try to move him inside sometimes, and he can learn from Montesue and Dio Odengo. Yeah, I don't really know exactly what situation the Bears are going to be in the draft and what they will do, but I think this is a good pick.
Alrighty. 49ers lost a lot of free agents this last year. The defense is getting a little older. They need to get younger. But also, I feel like they need to get younger on the offensive line. I think that right here, you're not going to jump any offensive line that you want to take. I feel like you're reaching a little bit. So there is a lot of defensive talent. This is kind of a defensive-heavy first round. But they need some help in the secondary. And pass rush. They could help someone to offset Nick Bosa. But I think they're going to go into the secondary. And the question is, do they go safety to replace, I can't think of his name right now.
Talanoa
Hufanga? Or do they get more corner help? And I'm going to lean on Robert Saleh being back in San Francisco and his Legion of Boom days. And I think he's going to go secondary for sure and not go pass rusher. And I'm actually going to go Mr. Barron from Texas.
Okay.
I think they're going to go corner. I think they need to get younger and better on defense, and I'm giving them the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Jahdae Barron, Diamador Lenore, and Renardo Green sounds like a pretty good combo. And that will be certainly tough to go against.
Cowboys.
Ooh. Cowboys. Yeah. Once again, multiple players can be taken. I think that's how it works in drafts.
Yeah, the Cowboys. How are they going to mess this up?
Yeah, so edge, offensive line, receiver, running back, corner.
Yeah. You're paying your quarterback $60 million a year. What are you going to do with that, Dallas?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go on offense. I think it could be. I think it could be Omarion Hampton to go here, but it once again it's a good running back class, so I'm just gonna go with Matthew Golden here.
Okay.
Wow.
Stays in the state of Texas.
He's just a fast, good route runner. And I think him and CeeDee Lamb would be a great combo for the Cowboys. This has been done before, and I think it's certainly a good option.
Alrighty. As you can see from the needs for the Dolphins, guard, tackle, they had a bottom 5 offensive line last year, and that was with Ron Armstead, who has since retired. He gone. If they don't go offensive line here with a guy that can't get his head blown on because he's going to get another concussion, and Tua, I don't know. I don't know when Mike McDaniel's contract is up, but if I was him, I'd be getting out of Miami as fast as possible. Tyreek Hill wants out. The Dolphins are a mess in my mind.
Jalen Ramsey too.
Yeah, Ramsey wants to be traded. They could. Everybody wants out of Miami.
They do have Patrick Paul to play left tackle right now.
I still think they're going offensive line. And I'm going to give them Kelvin Banks. I think they need to replace. Yeah, and he's more versatile. He could line up depending on what they do. So I just think that the smart play for the Dolphins is offensive line.
Snap. It's the Colts and Tyler Warren's on the board.
How did he make it this far?
Philly.
Well, yeah.
What's that thing you said about Tyler Warren that replaced Bryce Young with Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones?
Yeah. I think that's a really good fit. It makes a lot of sense, and I think the Colts would be. There's 15 minutes between picks, right? Especially in the first round, and to draw it out. This would be one of those times where the Dolphins have made a pick, and then 2 minutes later, the Colts have made a pick. They're not going to wait long. They'll call Tyler Warren. They said, "All right, we're gonna do it." All right, Falcons. Falcons. Defensive line. Defensive line. But
I didn't go for the edge rusher.
Jahad Campbell is sitting there.
Wow.
He's very versatile. He's very smart. You need a leader on defense. Who's your leader on defense now? Grady Jarrett's gone, right?
Caden Ellis? Is he there?
I guess. I mean, you need
Jesse Bates?
defense. Yeah.
He's a
So,
little farther. He's a little farther.
I mean, do you try to instantly replace Grady Jarrett with Walter Nolan?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, do you go another safety draft? Do you go?
Jalen
I
Walker?
think to me it could be Jalen Walker, but I think it's between Jahad Campbell and Walter Nolan. But I think
Okay.
they're gonna go, and Walter Nolan's been rising up the draft boards. I think they're gonna try to fix that interior. They gotta stop the run, so I'm gonna give them Walter Nolan.
I had said interior disruptor, so that should improve their pass rush.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. The Arizona Cardinals. I don't like the Jalen Walker slot. And I'd really like to go with him. He's such a great player. He's an incredible athlete. He's a good leader. And he's versatile. But with the Cardinals, I feel like, they have Josh Sweat. They have Darius Robinson, B.J. Ojolari. They have a lot of depth, I think, at edge.
Agreed.
So I think if they go edge, I think it would be hard to just get a good starter.
Right.
But I think I would, for the Cardinals, I would rather go in the interior of defensive line. They could go with cornerback and Will Johnson. He's shown that he can be a very skilled, press man corner, but he does have some length issues. And we haven't seen him run a 40. But I'm just gonna go with big man on the inside, Kenneth Green.
Oh wow. Okay. Alrighty. Bengals.
Surely this is where Jalen Walker goes, right?
They have Trey Henderson is not signed. They spent all this money on offense. They gave a bajillion dollars to two receivers when they fired their longtime defensive coordinator. And the real reason they lost last year, or didn't make the playoffs, or didn't have a really, good season, one was a bad start, and two, didn't stop anybody. So it's defense or nothing here. It's defense, 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 defense.
But they don't have a third wide receiver.
Oh my gosh. We could take a tight end. They could take Colston Loveland. I think they need to take an edge. They need pass rush. They need someone to chase around Lamar.
Like Jalen Walker.
You were in love with Jalen Walker. That's good at edge.
He's listed as linebacker according to Trevor Sikkens.
Oh, he's not here then.
He's listed as linebacker.
Oh,
Trevor
so
Sikkens.
maybe I won't take him. Maybe I'll take Donovan Hizuraku then.
Oh. he is Donovan Ezraku is pretty good. He's
Alrighty, that's what I did. I took Ezraku.
He's not the most athletic, but he's a very skilled pass rusher.
Okay. Yeah, your pick. Seahawks. I'm staring at you, judging you. Limp? No.
I'm gonna do it.
No.
I'm gonna
We
do
have
it.
Ernest Jones, who
He's an edge rusher.
We don't need an edge rusher.
I'm gonna do it.
No. We don't need an edge rusher. Give him to the Buccaneers, who need an edge rusher.
That's
Oh.
up to you.
Oh.
Fine. Let's.
I'll take Jalen Walker. I'm going to make you a deal. I'll take Jalen Walker with my next pick. You take a better pick for the Seahawks,
Okay.
who have 4 edge rushers on the
Okay,
offense.
okay. Okay, so I'll go with Colston Loveland. They don't have a great tight end. Okay.
You do whatever you
Still
want to do.
tackle. I'm just gonna go with Grace Hill.
The
Scott.
Seahawks fans rejoice. All right, promises were made.
No, like
Promises were made.
for me, it's Tether McMillan if he falls, or Grace Hill.
Jalen Walker. I said we'll go to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay needs that versatility. They need pass rushing ability. So it's a good fit. I know they're going to go defense with this pick. They could, an outside option here is receiver. And you're like, why didn't receiver? Well, Curtis Godwin's coming up an injury. Mike Evans is getting older. They need to get some young blood in offense. They also had a really good receiver last year, McMillan, that had a good year. But I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think they're going to go defense. So we'll take Jalen Walker. Be happy now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good rotation with
Broncos.
and Yano Diaby.
Broncos.
Yeah. There's been a lot of crazy draft rumors. Quite a few of them include the Broncos trading up high in the draft to get like Ashton Genty or Travis Sumter. I doubt that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that Sean Payton is kind of against making those giant moves. I think he likes to accumulate a lot of young talent and develop them. I don't think he wants to give up a bunch of capital to move up for that,
Yeah.
especially when Hampton is really, really good.
It's gonna be just like last year when he convinced the Vikings to trade up to 10, give up a few picks. Oh.
You're still bitter about that one, aren't you?
What?
Nothing. Go ahead. You like JJ McCarthy? It's okay.
What?
Make your pick.
Okay. It could be Colson Loveland or Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka, really. But I think they have the biggest hole at running back. Namarion Hampton is a great guy who can just power through and pick up big runs, and he could potentially be a bell cow for this team that desperately needs a player like him.
Oh, the Steelers. Steelers have this great reputation of being a well-run organization and making smart decisions, and problem I see for them is that they've decided to hitch their wagon to this Aaron Rodgers debacle, and they have waited, and it's draft day tomorrow. He's not signed. So Shadour's sitting there. Jackson Dart's sitting there.
Tyler Shuck is sitting there.
Tyler Shuck is
Good.
anyway. So you don't have a second round pick. So you're feeling the pressure here, but
They could trade him.
if I'm the Steelers, I feel like if you're not getting Cam Ward, which you're not, and you want to draft a quarterback and you've done your research on quarterbacks, I'm thinking reaching here for Sanders or Dart, which to me is a reach at this pick. Then you can get one in the third round, maybe Kyle McCord, maybe Will Howard, something like that. In the third round or fourth round, you could even take a flyer at Jalen Milroe down the road. I know that some people want to draft him high, and I think that's kind of a garbage about Milroe. I think he'll fall, as long as I think Sanders will fall too. So I don't think you want to do that. Now there's also rumors coming out that George Pickens is on the trading block. Maybe he's not happy with them bringing in DK. He wants to be a true number one. He's still on a rookie deal, so you could trade him, and maybe you trade him to a team like the Packers or someone that needs a true one, and you offload him. If you do that, you need a number two, and they really haven't
Roman
done
Wilson.
great with receivers.
He was injured last
Yeah, but he's an outside receiver, so I think it'd be great to pair him, DK, with a slot guy. So I think this is a great spot to take Egbuka.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It
a
is. It is a pick that I made.
That is a pick that you made. Yeah. That could happen.
Well,
It's
anything
not my
could
favorite
happen.
pick, but
I don't think the odds
I
for
don't
that are
think
good
it's
if you're a
horrible.
betting man.
But I mean,
All right.
if Pickens doesn't get tricked.
Speaking of teams that need pass catchers, the Chargers are on the board. and they're upset. Oh wait, oh look who's sitting there.
Oh.
There's two guys.
Oh.
He's 6'6". He's as tall as the quarterback.
Don't they need the cornerback?
You're not going to give them a pass catcher?
I guess corner would be good.
They need someone that will not drop the football.
They don't have Poona Ford. I could give them Derek Carmen. I think they're good at linebacker. I'll go with Colson.
Yeah, I think that's the play, yeah.
Could be Luther Burton.
Oh, look at this. Luther Burton has fallen down the draft board, and the Packers are sitting there. They're just like, oh, why do I need to trade for George Pickens when I can just have Luther Burton?
Well, now the Mecca Luka pick feels. It'd be funny. It's usually that the Lions, trade up ahead of the Packers
They will need a
to
receiver.
get the player that the Packers want.
Yeah.
But if the Packers just don't get the player that the fans want, then and no one trades up ahead of them, that would be even funnier.
All right. Who are you picking for your Vikings? It's your dream scenario. Look at Malachi Stark staring you right in the face.
No.
Another safety from Georgia.
Yeah, it could. I don't think there's like a guard here that is good enough. I wouldn't want Tyler Booker here. I think the Vikings. I hope they trade down, because they only have 4 picks in the draft.
Yes, they're a great spot for trading down. Especially if someone wants to jump back up and get a quarterback. It's a great spot for the Giants to come up.
Yeah, I think it could be another trenches player like Derek Carmen. And it could be a cornerback, but I think that's more of a later pick. I mean, they have Byron Murphy, and Mekhi Blackman was injured last year. They could just keep him and see if he's worth anything. So I'll just go with Malachi Starks. I'd rather them keep Harrison Smith at strong safety and have Malachi Starks, who can play free safety. He can play, just like kind of everywhere, kind of like Josh Metellus. Last year wasn't his best year, so I could see Nick Emanwari being a better prospect and better player and going ahead of Malachi Starks. But I think for the Vikings, Starks is a better fit. He's really intelligent, smart football player. And I think that is what they need after Cam Bynum leaving to the Colts.
The Texans are on the clock, and they traded away their best offensive lineman after their offensive line was bad last year. So I guess you're just hoping that a good tackle is sitting there for you. And guess what? There is one. Josh Simmons, Ohio State, goes to the Texans. It's just
What about Trent Brown?
right. He plays right tackle, and he's not great. Easy pick, easy
What about
fit.
Fisher?
The Rams are on the clock. I think there's,
There's some players going here.
I think there's an easy one for them.
Of course there's just, tackle Josh Conley, but I feel like they don't really need tackle as bad.
I think they're going to go defense here.
So, yeah, I think it would be defense. Could go with. There's quite a few good players. I don't think they need anything in the trenches at all after signing Poona Ford. They could go with a cornerback.
They get a good young defensive line, actually.
Yeah, very good. I think Jahad Campbell or Will Johnson are the top 2 players here. I mean, according to Trevor Sikkema, and for the Rams. But I feel. Or they could go with Mason Taylor, but I feel more drawn to Jahan Campbell in the moment, but I think that corner's probably bigger hole right now. But I'm still gonna go with Jahan Campbell. Very good linebacker. You
No,
just go
no. I just, I'm thinking about the Ravens. I was just thinking about the Ravens. Ravens are on the clock. Defense here, I think for the Ravens, of course, I think they would have taken Jahad Campbell if you didn't.
Really?
Yeah. Just because he's versatile, and I just think the way that they run their defense, they like guys that can move around and play different roles.
Yeah, Campbell used to be an interesting. He's
Yep.
a good blitzer.
Yep, exactly. They like to be dynamic in their blitzing, but also the problem with the Ravens last year was their secondary. So Will Johnson is just an amazing prospect. Loading up in corners and having depth at corner is never bad. It's a high injury position, and you need depth there. So Will Johnson's just too good of a prospect.
I know what my pick would be.
Well, doesn't matter what your pick is because I'm picking,
Yeah, it is.
and I'm
our
taking
mock
Will
draft.
Johnson. All right, Lions.
Yeah, something that I'm just it's because I find a lot of difficulty in finding spots for Nick Eamon-Ward because I think there's two safeties in this class. And safeties don't really go
Yeah, it could have been Imanari for the Ravens, right?
in the first round, and I feel like usually in the back end, like the Lions, they don't need safety. They have Brian Branch and they just extend Kirby Joseph.
Well, here's the thing. They do play Brian Branch in the slot a lot. You could play Imanari as, a box safety and still put Branch in the slot, and then you have Kirby Joseph playing the back third, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like you can't do that on defense there.
Yeah. So, I feel like here, there's not really an obvious spot for him. But he's an incredible player. I think he might be the best player available on the board right now. For the Lions, do I just go with the easy pick of James Pierce? I think
They need pass rush.
he's the second best player available, other than Nick Eamon-Ward. They could go with like Donovan Jackson here, or even Tyler Booker, to just keep that offensive line intact. But I think they can get someone like that later. So I'm just gonna go with James Pierce. Just get a fast, athletic, edge rusher with a lot of juice, and I think that would be. Oh yeah, Michael Williams. He's here. Yeah, I think he's a much better prospect than 38. He's also extremely athletic, and he has some good pass rush skills. Also good against them.
I
Georgia and slightly different.
I think the Commanders, obviously, their issue was defense. You look at the NFC Championship game; they couldn't stop anything that the Philadelphia Eagles were doing. And obviously, they traded for Tunsil to help with the offensive line. I think they have good weapons. I think they just really need to work on the defense. Why not start with a good pass rusher? And I think everything you said about Michael Williams is true. And I think it fits a lot of needs for them. So, there we go for the Commanders.
Okay,
Bills.
Buffalo Bills. I think it is defense here. I think they're basically fine on offense. Which is, because I think their biggest need is an outside corner because they just have Christian Benford and
Right.
Taron Johnson and a space of nickel. So I think Trey Amos or Maxwell Harrison would be really great here.
Also a good trade out pick, but not to the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
They could also go with a safety. Come on, he's the best safety. He's not okay. Or
They could take him in Rory. That'd be kind of crazy, actually.
they could go with a defensive lineman, like Derek Harmon, or I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I think cornerback is the biggest need, and I think Nicky Moore probably won't be on the board. But if he does fall to them, I think that'll be a great pick for them. And he does in this situation, so I'm gonna do it, and they're gonna leave a gaping hole wide open on their team. But getting a great, safety. He's athletic, and he played incredibly as a safety. He can start strong safety for them immediately, and be a great player.
I don't know if you did you ever watch last year's Super Bowl?
What?
Did you watch the Super Bowl last year?
Yeah.
I mean, I did. I think we watched it together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that game that
I remember,
Patrick Mahomes
because I
had
got it.
no.
I got it right, and you didn't.
Well, that's just rude. I don't know. We had to bring that up. I was
Alright,
Kinda making-
I'm,
I was-
I'm just giving
was
you.
just
That's
doing.
that's
I was
why.
doing a
That's
bit
why I
right
remember
there.
it.
Was doing a bit
That's
about
how I remember because
the
I
pass
predicted
rush,
that before
the-
the season and
the
before
Chiefs
the
couldn't
playoffs, that
protect
the Eagles would be
again.
the Chiefs in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
you predict the exact matchup and the outcome. Yeah, I think we've done that in previous videos. You want us to keep living on that high of that victory. Fine, you enjoy it.
Hey, you'll get it right next year, and I won't. Probably.
Great.
Keep going with your bet.
Remember the Chiefs. Shut up. Chiefs need tackles. They failed to protect Patrick Mahomes. Josh Connerly goes here. Where are you going? You upset with the pick? It's the smartest pick I've made all day. All right, Eagles on the clock.
I mean, I guess I deserve it. Since I had Nicky Moore going here, yeah, I'm just gonna go with again the best player available. And I think this is a Howie Roseman pick. Just Derek Harmon. Great player. Just falling to them. He's good against run. He's good in the passing game, and
That's not what I clicked on.
yeah, come on.
Okay, let's go like that. Okay.
And they build up in the trenches. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Derek Harmon, and the cycle continues, and they'll keep succeeding.
All right. Well, there is our mock draft 2.0. Enjoy the draft tomorrow. Hopefully, your team gets the player you always wanted them to get. We will be live tomorrow.
Packers. I don't like the Packers.
Right.
Or
We'll-
the 49ers. I don't like the 49ers.
Okay, sweet.
Or the Rams.
Can I finish?
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Goodbye.